everyone? This is the Allen Powell Show live coming at you Tuesday, 8 o'clock. We got a locked and loaded show for you today. Um, we will discuss actually who will win game three in the NBA Finals. We will talk about how many techs Draymond Green will have in Boston and will he get ejected. We've seen some antics go on in Golden State. Seemed like he possibly could have got away with some stuff, and we will see if he would get away with it in Boston. Um, and so we will break those two things down. But first, we got to get into the uh, uh, the actual game three itself. So without further ado, everyone, let's lock and load and let's go.
We lock and load, Allen Powell. It's the Allen Powell Show. When we lock and load, come on. It's the Allen Powell Show. When we lock and load, come on. It's the Allen Powell Show. When we lock and load, it's the Allen Powell Show. When we lock and load, come on.
Thank y'all for tuning in to another edition of the Allen Powell Show. Tuesday night, as usual. We got game three coming up, everyone. Tomorrow night, game three, Warriors and Celtics. And the series is tied 1-1 right now. So it is a big game. I want to talk to you all about the game one to game two adjustments that happened. We seen actually in game one, Horford and Smart have big games. Uh, they had, I think Horford had like 26, went crazy, and um, the last quarter they had a crazy comeback, and it was off the chain. So and then in game two, we saw that he only had 2 points. And Marcus Smart, I believe, only had like 2 points. So we see the adjustments from game to game, what can happen. And me and a couple of guys that we debated about who will go off or who got more weapons between Golden State and Boston. I argued that Golden State had more weapons with Poole, Wiggins, Klay Thompson, Steph that can go off. And he actually said that Boston had weapons as well, besides Tatum and Brown, that Horford, Smart, Grant Williams, and so on. So it looks like from game one to game two, we both got one right. And now as the series shift to Boston, and we will see what happened from there. Now, Jordan Poole has 17 points in game two, and my whole argument with the Golden State Warriors was that like a player like Jordan Poole, can go off for spurts, and I don't believe that Boston have weapons like that. That was my whole argument. And like, but to their credit, like I said, Al Horford did go off in game one, and Marcus Smart had a big game as well. Even Tatum had a so-so game. So listen, like I said, game one, it seems like the Boston fans, the Boston fans who argued that they had legit weapons, they seemed like they was right in game one. Game two, Jordan Poole came up big, and it's make it seem like I was correct. Now, when it goes to Boston, role players usually seem to play better at home. So you expect uh, some of the role players that they talked about with Grant Williams possibly going off, Horford, Smart um, going off as well. So hey, who and you probably not expect um, Jordan Poole to go off because it's a road game and role players. He's young. Role players tend not to play well on the road. Just in case you all did not see game two, we just going to show some highlights of game two and um, some of the stuff that happened because it was pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting. So we're going to play some highlights. I'm still going to be here as we watch the highlights. Um, Let me see. Yeah. So and Jason Tatum once again did he had a better game, but he hasn't had a huge game. One of my questions on the last show was how many 30-point games would Jason Tatum have? And every guest that I had predicted that he would have um multiple games over 30 points. And I don't think he's had one yet. I'm not for sure, but I don't think he has one game over 30 points yet. And Jalen Brown, I believe, has been the best player for the Boston Celtics so far. Game two, I feel like Jordan Poole had a spurt. Steph had another good game, playmaking like that to Looney. Um, but Jordan Poole had a moment where he just went off, and Steph did his thing as normal. My question is, what's going to happen in Game Three? The Boston crowd is going to be ready to rock and roll, of course. Uh, will Jason Tatum show up, have a big game over 30 points? He has not showed up yet with a big game, and he's due. He's due. He's due to have a big game. Um, so will this be the game that he have over 30 points? What do y'all predict will happen in in Game Three of the NBA Finals? Uh, that crowd is different, and it's going to be interesting to see how Golden State plays. I believe Steph is going to be aggressive. Clay have a chance to go off, and I think Wiggins will play well as well. Jordan Poole, we really don't know. Like I said, on the road games, role players tend not to play as well as at home. So we will see what happened with that. You got a comment checking in. Black Butterfly Pod says Tatum has 30, they lose by 10. So he's predicting Tatum has 30. I don't think he hasn't had over 30 all series, but they will be at home. But he said he would have over 30, but they would still lose by 10. That's very interesting that you say that. So it doesn't matter what type of game that Jason Tatum has, you still predict that they're going to lose. What kind of game will he need to have for them to win will be my question. Y'all come in with your comments. What you think will happen in Game Three of the NBA Finals? Tied 1-1. Some people can argue that Golden State should be up 2-0 because they was up even in Game One, and Boston just had a crazy Game One. But as you see in this Game Two, that Golden State end up pulling away, and it was a great game. It was a great game to watch. Tell me what you think is going to happen in Game Three of the NBA playoffs. Y'all comment. What are your thoughts of the first two games so far? I had picked I think Golden State in five at the beginning of the series. It looked like it's going to be a longer series. It probably might go seven, but it's going to be interesting to see Mal Sauce checking in on YouTube. Just got to keep Draymond cool. Don't get in early foul trouble. Get more points inside the paint. Not depend on the three ball so much. That's interesting, and I'm going to get into the Draymond situation in a minute because it's going to be interesting to see how it translates in Boston. Black Butterfly Pod, 24 points, 8 to 10 assists. They have no point guard, and that's how they won Game One. I think he had 13 in Game One. He has to be balanced. So you think he has to be more of a playmaker, maybe a facilitator than actual a big time scorer? Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. I like that. That was a good point. He had 13 assists in Game One, and they end up winning that game. So maybe Tatum needs to be more facilitator, playmaker than actual score from Black Butterfly Pod. Um, Clay also has not had a huge game yet. And I've noticed that he usually comes on later on in the series. So what type of game will Clay have is a good question as well. He has not had a huge game yet, and we know that he can get hot in any type of any one of these games and go off. So it's going to be interesting to see what type of game Clay has. Mal Sauce brought up a good point. And I had that on my list to talk about Draymond Green factor. The Draymond Green. The question that I have is how many texts will Draymond have in Boston? Will he get ejected? Game six, Clay. It's not game six, so I wonder what kind of game Clay will have. It's game three. Um, so do you think game six Clay will come out, or will he only pull out game six Clay in game six? Um, but I want to talk about Draymond Green because he had some altercations. He had some altercations with a few players of Boston. I'm going to play those plays just in case you didn't see it. He had one with Jalen Brown, one with Grant Williams. Uh, they said he got into it with Ime Udoka. So here's one of the plays that he got into it with. This is Grant Williams, I believe. So let's look at this play. He kind of runs him over. He kind of runs him over, and they get the chirping a little bit, and then he pushes him a little bit. Uh, so look at this, and Grant Williams got called with the foul, I believe. Bro, he told Grant Williams, "You want to be me, you can't be me, bro." So he ended up getting with Ime Udoka. I believe they both got techs on that play, so that was one tech. And then um, he got into it again. He got into it again. He got into it again. This time with Jalen Brown. Um, and this one, some people said he could have got another tech, but he already had one, and they didn't give it to him. So here's the second play. So the 3-point shot, kind of like put his feet on Jalen Brown's face. Jalen Brown moves his feet. They get into it a little bit, and a scuffle, kind of a little bit of a scuffle comes out. Um, they did not call anything on that play, but a common foul on Draymond. As you see, they get kind of tangled up. Then his feet kind of gets on Jalen Brown. Jalen Brown doesn't like it. He pushes it off. Then he pulls. So it's a little back and forth, but nothing gets called. And Draymond was able to stay in the game. But I believe that when it comes to Boston, it's going to be a different ball game. It's going to be a different ball game. I believe in Boston. I predict that he's definitely going to at least get one, possibly two. That's what I believe is going to happen. Um, Partly because Boston fans are ridiculous. If you remember the Kyrie situation, he was giving the fans the birds. He was giving the fans the middle finger, and Draymond, I believe, is going to give off similar energy. And I feel like the refs might get swayed to eject him, not take as much in Boston, and they're going to have the crowd behind him as well. It's not going to be pushback if for whatever reason he gets ejected. That's just what I believe. So either game three or game four, he might get ejected. He's definitely going to get at least one tech, probably in both games. But the Draymond factor is definitely going to play a part in this series. I believe that he's been getting a lot of leeway with these refs. He always is demonstrative with his emotions. He's always uh, slapping his hands or just doing something that gets technical fouls on a regular basis. But after he got one, they kind of like let him go. They just let it go because he already had one, and they didn't want to affect the series like they did in what 2016, 2017 when the Cleveland came back from 3-1 after Draymond got ejected for game 5, changed the whole series. Changed the whole series after the altercation with LeBron. And so I don't think they want to do that again. Did you see what Cornbread Maxwell said about him? No, I didn't. I did not see that. I did not see it. But I'm telling you, Boston fans are already off the chain. Kyrie Irving, he gave him the birds. He said he's gonna get that same energy. The Boston crowd plus Draymond plus the refs is going to equal a early exit for Draymond in one of these games. Can't say which one, but it will happen. Because Draymond said he's not going to change the way he play. That's what he said. He's not going to change the way he play. He's going to be who he is. If I'm Steve Kerr, I'm like, bro, you got to chill out. You got to chill out. He came too close. He came too close to getting ejected. He came too close. And I believe that Boston probably will try to antagonize Draymond because they got the crowd behind them. And the refs are going to have a shorter leash on Draymond. So that's what I believe will happen. Um, QT checking in off YouTube. The refs treat Draymond so different. If it was a player like Alex Caruso or something, they would have been ejected. That's probably true. That's probably a true statement. Probably a true statement. Um, but I don't think they're going to treat Draymond so different in Boston. I don't think it's going to be like that. I really believe that if he shows them up in any kind of way and does the same antics that he did in Golden State, he will be ejected. I guarantee you. The refs are not going to play that in Boston. The Boston crowd are going to make sure the refs know that they need to tee up Draymond. They're not going to stand it in Boston. They had leeway because they was in Golden State, home court advantage, those type of things. And that's probably why that Draymond got suspended, got ejected, and that Cleveland series. That's probably why, because they were in Cleveland. That didn't, as you noticed, that didn't happen in Golden State. That happened in Cleveland. So you got to remember that home crowd, that home court advantage plays a part even with the refs. Even with the refs. So listen, if like I said, I predict Draymond having some issues in Boston. I really believe that. So everybody who's checking in, y'all share the live. We're going over game 3 of the NBA Finals. Uh the adjustments that were made from game 1 to game 2. Horford and Smart had big games in game 1. Game 2, Horford only had 2 points. Smart had a subpar game. Jordan Poole showed up in game 2. Game shifts to Boston in game 3. And then we talked about how many techs will Draymond have? Will he get ejected? I believe he's definitely going to get a tech probably in each game. He might get ejected in one of these games. Now that we have went through those two, I want to get to who actually wins the game. What are your predictions for game 3? Who wins and why? Who wins in game 3? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. Who wins game 3 by how many points and why? Y'all tell me, who do y'all got? Um, Me myself, it's really, to me, it's a pick 'em game, a 50-50 game. Even though the series shifts to Boston, I still believe Golden State have a great chance to win game 3. Boston has not been just dominant at home, so I believe Golden State has a great chance to win game 3. Um, like I said, I do believe it's a pick 'em. It's a pick 'em game for game 3. Pick 'em game. But uh, I might lean towards Golden State if somebody was to push me to pick the game. Think I might lean towards Golden State to win game 3. Who do y'all got in game 3? Will Boston crowd be enough to push Boston to a game 3 victory? Or will Golden State be able to pull out and get home court back in this series? I'm going to go with myself. Like I said, I'm going to go with Golden State. I think if they pull out a close game, and I think they win game 3. So uh, other than that, man, I just wanted to check in with y'all real quick and get some analysis from game to game. What happened in game 1 and game 2? And the Draymond Green factor. The Draymond Green factor will be uh, real interesting to watch. Real interesting to watch about how the officials will officiate Draymond Green. I think it's going to be key. It's going to be a key thing to watch for. Other than that, I'm going to be looking for Game 3. Draymond. What will the refs do with him? Will he keep that same energy that he had in Golden State? Because I don't believe he will. Uh, let's see. Mal Sauce, third quarter will tell a lot. Golden State can't come off the gas for nothing. Um, that is key. They can't let, like I said, they was up in game one, and Boston had a great fourth quarter out of nowhere. Al Horford was shooting lights out. Um, so I agree with you, Mal Sauce. Third quarter will tell a lot. The crowd is going to play a big factor with Boston as well. Even if Golden State don't come off the gas, I believe that the crowd will help Boston stay in the game. Um, who do you got though? Who do you got in game three? Who do you have in game three? Who wins game three? Is my question. Who wins games three? Um, and who's going to be the key player that shows up? Because we had game one, Horford and Smart had big games, and then game two we had Jordan Poole step up. Who's going to be the big uh, player that steps up? That's not one of the main players. I believe Grant Williams have a chance to have a big game because he hasn't had a big game yet, and I believe he plays pretty well at home. Malasau says Dubs by 9. Okay, Dubs by 9. So that's a pretty big margin of victory as well. Malasau's got the Dubs by 9. Um, I say Dubs by 5. Dubs by 5 is my prediction. Uh, and so uh other than that, man, listen, we're gonna see what happens in game 5. I look forward to seeing how everything plays out. Other than that, I'm about to get up out of here. Just wanted to check in with y'all for a second to see y'all predictions on game 3. If y'all still want to comment, come on in the room and tell me what you think. And let's see. Black Butterfly Pod, to me, it's a game between Al and Dre. Al cannot have 20 plus with Al being stretched out on 3-point line. They cannot give up the 3 to him. Uh, will Al Horford have a big game at home? He in a different series, he shows up a game, then he go kind of he will leave. He will not show up a couple of games, then he show up again. Um, he's not like every other game, but every other 2 games. So will he show up in this game at home, or will it be game 4? One of these games, Al Horford will probably have another 20 plus game. But the question is, will it be this game? So he says Al and Dre is the key matchup for game 3. I will be looking forward for that matchup. And I will look for the matchup of Draymond Green versus the refs. I will look forward to that matchup. So other than that, man, listen, we about to get up out of here. I appreciate y'all checking in. And as always, I'll holler at y'all next Tuesday. We are out of this thing.
Low, Allen Pass. It's the Allen Pass Show.